Ghost is one of the most beautiful and touching films about love that proves stronger than death itself. The entire world cried over this movie, without exaggeration. Ghost became an incredible box office hit and was widely recognized within the professional community, collecting an impressive number of awards. However, this does not negate the long chain of obstacles the film faced on its way to becoming a cult classic. The story told by screenwriter Bruce Joel Rubin was not invented at a writing desk. According to him, something very similar happened to him personally. Once, in his youth, he nearly died. That brief moment separating him from death stayed with him for the rest of his life. According to the screenwriter, he felt so good there that he did not want to return. Only thoughts of his beloved wife, Blanche, pushed him back. For a short time, he even became a ghost himself. As Bruce later said, his soul left his body and watched the world of the living from above. When he came to his senses, he realized he simply had to tell people about this experience. Several years were spent writing the script. And then came years of running from studio to studio. No one wanted to make the film, considering the story a naive fairy tale. The actors whom director Jerry Zucker envisioned in the lead roles also looked at the project with disdain. Not only did they refuse the roles themselves, but they also discouraged others from participating. The lead role was offered to Alec Baldwin, Nicolas Cage, Kevin Costner, Tom Cruise, Johnny Depp, David Duchovny, Mel Gibson, Harrison Ford, Tom Hanks, Dennis Quaid, Mickey Rourke, and John Travolta, but none of them accepted. Bruce Willis was also among the candidates, but he considered playing a ghost a poor idea. Moreover, being Demi Moore's husband at the time, Willis actively tried to convince her to turn down the role as well, fortunately, unsuccessfully. From the very beginning, screenwriter Bruce Joel Rubin insisted on Patrick Swayze. He was deeply moved by an interview in which Patrick spoke about his deceased father and, to Rubin's great surprise, suddenly burst into tears. Despite the recent success of the romantic film Dirty Dancing, Swayze was widely perceived as a Hollywood macho, far removed from sentimentality. The release of two crime action dramas in 1989, Roadhouse and Next of Kin, only strengthened this image. But Rubin stood his ground and secured an audition for Swayze. The actor later admitted that he himself dreamed of playing a role completely uncharacteristic of his usual screen persona. Jerry Zucker was convinced Swayze would fail the audition, but the screen test impressed him so deeply that Patrick was immediately given the role. The beautiful brunette Demi Moore was also initially reluctant to appear in Ghost. "I was a young actress just starting my career, but even then I understood that the film would either be a disaster or a huge success. The script promised a melodrama, a thriller, and a comedy all at once. It was a risk." The director considered Nicole Kidman the most suitable candidate. Many stars of American cinema, including singer Madonna, auditioned for the female lead. However, Demi, like her on-screen partner, turned out to be incredibly sensitive and talented. She was the only one who could genuinely cry during an emotional scene, and she did it instantly, experiencing the heroine's tragedy as her own. Incidentally, when Demi Moore auditioned, she had long, luxurious hair. But before filming began, the actress cut it short, entirely on her own initiative. The director was furious and angrily protested, but the very first scenes proved that the image of passionate and tender Molly had to be exactly this way. Needless to say, after the premiere of Ghost, thousands of fans rushed to hair salons. Surprisingly, the love scenes became a serious acting challenge for Patrick and Demi. They felt only friendly affection toward each other and initially looked unconvincing as a couple in love. To get into character, Swayze imagined his wife Lisa Nemi, with whom he had been married for 15 years, in his partner's place. In the film's most emotional and touching scene, where Sam, having fulfilled his mission on Earth, says goodbye to his beloved forever, Patrick Swayze once again thought about his father, whose loss he had never fully accepted. That is why the tears in his eyes were real. Actress Whoopi Goldberg later recalled in an interview that she, too, was not approved for her role, psychic Oda Mae Brown, right away. According to her, she was initially told she was too big for the film. "When I asked my agent about auditioning, he told me, 'They're not interested. They think you're physically too large, and that people won't want to watch the film.' I'm not comparing myself to anyone, but Marlon Brando was also a large man. Big characters have the right to exist." Goldberg accepted that there was no place for her in Ghost, but soon received another call. It turned out that Patrick Swayze had insisted she be given a chance. "My agent called and said, 'Remember that film they didn't want you for?' They hired Patrick Swayze, and he asked why they rejected you. When Patrick heard the reason, he said, "I won't agree to shoot until we find out whether she truly doesn't fit this role. But I assure you, she's brilliant." We had never met before, but it turned out he was a fan of mine. During the filming of Ghost, Goldberg and Swayze became close friends and remained in touch afterward. Casting Whoopi Goldberg as the medium turned out to be a perfect choice, and earned the film one of its Oscars. The movie was nominated in several categories and won 2 Academy Awards: Best Original Screenplay and Best Supporting Actress. Whoopi Goldberg also received a Golden Globe and a Saturn Award, while Demi Moore became one of Hollywood's most in-demand and highest-paid stars. But all of this came later. In the summer of 1989, no one fully believed the film would even make it to its premiere. Filming began in July 1989. Due to the technical limitations of the time, the process was far from smooth. The filmmakers had to resort to various tricks to convincingly show a ghost among the living. For example, a nighttime chase scene was filmed in cold weather. All the actors were warmly dressed, except Patrick Swayze, who played a ghost that does not feel cold. He also had to constantly chew ice so that the camera would not capture his breath. It was equally difficult to show ghosts partially absorbing objects they passed through. Jerry Zucker himself struggled to explain how he imagined these scenes. In the end, he demonstrated his idea by dipping a napkin into coffee. And when it came to creating the terrifying sounds made by the dark shadows, the filmmakers used a recording of a baby crying, slowed down. When Ghost was released in the summer of 1990, the press reacted harshly. Roger Ebert, one of the most influential film critics, harshly criticized the movie, calling it absurd along with its entire concept. Ghost offers absolutely nothing compared to similar films. The idea that a soul standing on the threshold of eternity would be troubled by unfinished earthly business is ridiculous and laughable, he wrote. Major publications echoed the critics, but audiences felt very differently. Negative reviews did nothing to dampen their desire to see the film on the big screen. That desire was so strong that Ghost topped the US box office for 4 consecutive weeks. With a budget of $22 million, Ghost became a massive hit. In the United States alone, it earned 10 times its budget, far surpassing Total Recall and Die Hard 2, whose box office barely reached half of Ghost's earnings. The film grossed another $300 million worldwide, making it the most commercially successful film of the year and placing it 3rd on the list of the highest-grossing films in history at the time. And that's not all. Ghost received 2 Oscars, 3 Saturn Awards, BAFTA Awards, and Golden Globes, totaling 42 nominations and 19 wins. Beyond the awards, Ghost became a beloved film for millions of viewers worldwide. Alongside Pretty Woman, also released in 1990, it breathed new life into romantic cinema, a genre largely ignored by Hollywood studios in favor of action films. After Ghost, audiences were given The Bodyguard, Jerry Maguire, and Titanic, all major hits. After Ghost, Patrick Swayze appeared in several more films, but he never repeated the success of his earlier roles. He received no Oscar nominations thereafter.